Man, have you been watching the NBA lately? I mean, wow, the intensity out there is just incredible. Like, you can really feel it. Every single game matters. The stakes are just that high.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're diving right into that today.
Right, we've got this like huge pile of game results, and our whole mission is to go through them, figure out what actually matters. You know what I mean? Like, what are the takeaways? What are those little nuggets of insight that we can really grab onto?
Yeah, and we want to do it without getting bogged down in all the tiny details,
Yeah,
every play by play.
exactly.
We're here for the bigger picture.
Totally. So we've got 5 awesome games on our light today, and let's jump right in.
Sound good.
We'll be breaking down the LA Clippers against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then we're going to head over to the Golden State Warriors versus the Milwaukee Bucks, followed by the Boston Celtics taking on the Brooklyn Nets, the Atlanta Hawks versus the Charlotte Hornets, and finally we'll wrap up with the Los Angeles Lakers battling the San Antonio Spurs.
Lots to unpack.
A lot of good basketball.
Yeah. Should we start with that Clippers-Cavaliers game then?
Let's do it.
They ended up with a 132-119 victory. So definitely a high-scoring game, but the story's way more than just that final score.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You look at the box score, right, and you see Kawhi Leonard, 33 points, doing his thing. But it was Ivica Zubac who really caught my eye. 28 points, sure, but 20 rebounds, that's a monster game. And the kind of performance that can swing the whole momentum, I think. What do you think?
Totally, yeah. It's one thing to just rack up a ton of rebounds, but it was how he was doing it. 18 second chance points for the Clippers compared to just 6 for the Cavaliers. That's all Zubac right there, just owning the offensive glass, extending those possessions.
Yeah.
That kind of thing could be crucial in the playoffs.
So true. So true.
And then, of course, you got to factor in James Harden. 22 points and 9 assists. He's out there orchestrating the whole offense and picking his spots to score effectively.
Right, like that Clippers trio, they were really in sync. But here's the thing. The Cavaliers, they came out hot. I mean, they were up by 12 points in the first quarter. So how did the Clippers not only catch up, but then pull away? What was the turning point there?
Yeah, the Cavaliers did start strong. Max Struss was dropping buckets, season high 24 points for him. Donovan Mitchell was doing his thing too, 18 points and 11 assists. But the Clippers, man, they just didn't panic.
Right.
They started controlling the boards more and more. And then, boom, this massive 23 run, spanning the third and fourth quarters. That kind of scoring burst while also locking things down defensively,
Yeah.
that's demoralizing for the other team.
No, it's a total momentum killer. A 23 run, you can just feel the energy shift in the building. All right, let's move on to the Golden State Warriors against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Warriors won this one 104-93, but there's a big caveat here.
Oh, yeah.
Steph Curry wasn't playing, he was resting.
That's a huge factor, yeah.
Huge factor.
To beat a good team like the Bucks without, your main offensive weapon.
Your superstar.
Yeah. That says a lot about the Warriors' depth, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And their ability to adapt.
So who stepped up for the Warriors in this one?
Well, Jimmy Butler, he had himself a game.
Yeah.
24 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. He was all over the place.
Right.
And then Brandon Podziemski had 17 points, and Buddy Hield added 15. It was really a team effort. Different guys making plays when it mattered.
Yeah, it sounds like they really spread the wealth around. So what's interesting to you about this win for the Warriors?
Well, I mean, they took control early.
Right.
And they just never let up.
Right.
They were composed. They executed well. Even without Steph out there running the show, that suggests a maturity and a deep understanding of their systems, both offensively and defensively.
That's what you want to see, that kind of consistency, even with key players out.
Totally. Their ball movement was visibly quicker. Guys like Butler were taking on more playmaking responsibilities. It was tactical flexibility. And, that can be so valuable in the playoffs when teams throw different defenses at you.
Right, you got to be able to adjust. Now, for the Bucks, Kyle Kuzma and Giannis Antetokounmpo were both putting in work, but it just wasn't enough. They had a slow start. How much does that kind of early hole against a team like the Warriors really affect the outcome?
Well, think about it. You start slow. You're playing catch up the whole game.
Right.
You're expending more energy. You're maybe rushing shots, making mistakes. And a team like the Warriors, they're going to capitalize on those mistakes.
Right, and they did. They never really let the Bucks back in the game. All right, moving on to the Eastern Conference. The Boston Celtics versus the Brooklyn Nets. The Celtics kept their strong season going, winning this one 104-96. This team, man, they just find ways to win.
They do, yeah. Jason Tatum led the way with 27 points, and Derek White had 17. But honestly, it's their defense that always impresses me, They make it so hard for teams to score.
Yeah, the Celtics, they are a defensive machine. The source specifically called out their defense in this game, saying they shut down the Nets and never gave up the lead. What is it about their defensive approach that just seems to work so well?
They've got a lot of factors working in their favor. They've got strong individual defenders at pretty much every position. Their communication is excellent. Everyone's on the same page. And then they've got this system, this like well-drilled plan where everybody understands rotations,
It's
responsibilities.
like a well-oiled machine.
Exactly, right. So
Yeah.
even when like the individual matchups aren't ideal, they can still make things really difficult for the other team.
And that consistent defense, that's championship caliber stuff.
Absolutely. Now for the Nets, Nick Claxton and Cameron Johnson led the scoring. But as you mentioned, it wasn't enough to overcome the Celtics teamwork.
Right, so even great individual players can be shut down by a strong, unified defense. That's a key takeaway here. All right, let's head down south. Atlanta Hawks versus the Charlotte Hornets. The Hawks won this one big, 134-102. An offensive clinic.
Totally dominant. Trae Young was phenomenal at 31 points and really controlled the tempo of the game.
Yeah, when he's on like that, the Hawks are a tough team to stop. And it wasn't just Trey. Dyson Daniels had 22, and Zachary Riesacher had 21. That's a lot of guys getting buckets.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What does it tell you about a team when you see that kind of balanced scoring?
It tells you they're tough to defend.
Right.
Because you can't just focus on stopping one guy. You got to guard everybody. It puts so much pressure on the defense.
Yeah, and it leads to breakdowns. The source really emphasized the Hawks' offense and their pressure, saying it was too much for the Hornets. It also mentioned the Hornets were missing some key players, including LaMelo Ball. How big of a factor are missing players, especially against a high-scoring team like the Hawks?
I mean, if you're missing your key playmakers, your scorers, it puts a lot of pressure on the guys who are left. It impacts both sides of the ball. Offensively, you don't have your go-to guys.
Yeah.
And defensively, you might be forced into some mismatches.
Right.
And against a team like the Hawks that can put up points in a hurry, that's a tough situation to be in.
Makes a big difference. Okay, let's wrap things up with the Los Angeles Lakers against the San Antonio Spurs. The Lakers won this one 125-109, and they're really starting to look good at home, extending that win streak.
They are. They had some big performances. Austin Reeves with 19 points. Luke Doncic with 27 points.
Yeah.
And this is kind of interesting. 7.8 rebounds. That's pretty specific.
7.8. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Right. But yeah, both those guys were driving the Lakers. Devin Vassell had a solid game for the Spurs, but according to the source, they just couldn't keep up with the Lakers' tempo and their depth. What do you think was the difference maker in this game?
Well, the Lakers had a more balanced attack, right? And they played some solid defense. That's what the source said, at least.
Right.
So they were able to outscore the Spurs pretty consistently and also limit their scoring opportunities. That's a good recipe for success in this league. Yeah, a balanced attack and a solid defense, those are the keys. So looking back at all 5 games, we saw some serious offensive talent on display. Teams like the Clippers and the Hawks, they can really put up points. Then you have the Warriors showing they can win even without Steph, proving their depth is real. The Celtics, they just keep playing that lockdown defense. And the Lakers, they're finding a groove at home with that balanced attack.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. These games give us a glimpse into where these teams are at right now. You see what they're good at, maybe some areas where they need to improve as the playoffs get closer.
Makes you think. So for all you listeners out there, I want you to think about this. Which team's performance tonight surprised you the most? And what does that tell us about how they might do down the stretch? Was it the Warriors winning without Curry? Was it the Clippers coming back from that early deficit? Or maybe the Hawks just dominating offensively? Think about it.
Yeah, and building on that, which of these wins do you think has the biggest impact moving forward? Like, is it the Lakers solidifying their home court advantage? Is it the Celtics just continuing to play at a really high level? Or is there another team out there that's starting to make a statement?
Lots to consider.
Lots to consider. It's going to be an exciting finish to the season.
That's for sure. All right, that's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.